He was sick yesterday, but he decided not to be sick today. He has willpower. The title of his speech is An Appreciation of My Misfortune. Get the Kleenex hand, lady. As I introduce Don, a self-professed slow learner. He's always looking for life lessons he can sink his teeth into. Recently, he hasn't had to look very far. He'd like to share some experiences in the hope you would react better than he did. What Don really wants is sympathy. An appreciation of my misfortune, Don Johnston.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters.
Morning.
A little more than 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in a dentist chair in Dr. Takamoto's downtown Livermore office, thinking about how much I would rather have been at the Toastmasters meeting that I was at that very moment missing. Now this marks progress from an earlier time in my life when I would rather have had tooth pulled than stand up and speak in front of an audience. But as I lay there reclined in the chair waiting for Dr. Takamoto to repair a broken tooth, I was thinking about my recent run of bad luck and misfortune. I was generally feeling really sorry for myself. You know, self-pity is vastly underrated. We're taught that it's a bad thing, and that we should never allow ourselves to indulge in such feelings, that it's weakness, that it's selfish. Balderdash. Self-pity is the manure that fertilizes good mental health and higher consciousness. We should allow ourselves to wallow in it contentedly the way hippopotami joyfully wallow in a mud hole. Let it wash over you. It's good for you. It's cathartic. But I digress. Now, they say that when bad things happen, they always happen in 2s and 3s. Now, 3 days before I broke a front tooth, biting into a piece of toast. And this was one instance where I was not a master of the toast. I was driving home from work. It was a Friday evening. I had my road bike secured on the roof rack of my car, and I was lost in a mammal fantasy. You all know what mammals are, right? M-A-M-I-L. Middle-aged men in Lycra. I see a lot of these guys around Danville. Danville is a center. Anyway, I'm one of them. I was driving home thinking about the wonderful weekend ahead. I pulled into my driveway. I opened the garage door and proceed to drive into the garage, only to be brutally yanked out of my daydream by the crunch and crinkle of metal. The result was the front fork on my bicycle was snapped in two. The roof rack lay strewn in the driveway, having been ripped from the roof of the car, leaving deep gouges and dents in the roof of my car. Total damage, about $5,000. Thank goodness for insurance. So the broken tooth was merely a crowning event, if you will. It had been a really bad week. Now, the first thing my son said when he saw me with my broken tooth is, he said, "Jed Clampett!" Beverly Hillbillies. The following morning, first thing I got up and I called Dr. Takamoto's office. And he said, "Come right in." He said, "I'll work you between patients." When he saw me, he went, "Whoa! This is really not what you want to hear from your dentist." But work me he did for the next 3.5 hours. Now, I really like Dr. Takamoto because he's one of those people who very clearly explains exactly what he's doing and why he is doing it. At one point, he was leaning over me, holding a device that looked suspiciously like a miniature version of the Black & Decker drill I have in my lab. And he said, "Don, you may smell a little smoke. It's normal, it's okay." And he pulled the little tube out of my mouth just long enough so that I could deliver my only lucid line of the morning, which was, "Doc, I'm in public relations. I blow smoke all the time." During the down moments, when, of course, Dr. Takamoto was attending to his other patients, Lori, his very attractive dental assistant, would come in and look in on me and murmur sympathetically and dab my chin with the paper bib I was wearing, a bib covered with drool and shards of ground-up toothstone. I must have been a pathetic sight. It was truly humiliating. I was just starting to revel in the surges of self-pity that were welling up inside of me when the good doctor came back into the office, and he started talking to me about the news events of the day. Now, he knows I'm a former journalist, and he likes to talk about current events. He asked me if I had heard the story about the miners in Chile. Have you all been following this story? Yeah. It's an incredible story. 33 miners holed up in an emergency shelter a half-mile below ground. They had escaped a mine collapse 2 weeks earlier. It took 2 weeks for the rescuers to drill a 6-inch hole big enough to make contact with the rescuers. A part of the problem being that this half mile is almost solid rock. And they believe it could take as long as 3.5 months to drill a hole big enough to bring the miners to the surface. Can you imagine going through something? Can you imagine what they're going through? Talk about feeling shafted. Now, these guys, they have something to feel sorry for themselves about. And when I heard this story, it snapped me out of my sniveling, self-pitying torpor. But what do I have to feel sorry for myself? Really? How would I like to be a half mile underground in a dark room with 33 grimy, gritty, grubby, soot-covered miners? No, thank you. I would rather be in the chair in Dr. Takamoto's office getting a root canal.
Once again, 5 minutes of round-robin feedback. Anybody have any suggestions or something you like? Yeah.
I love the puns. I thought they really added to the story.
Okay, cool. Fantastic, Christine.
It was really, really good. So I was trying really hard to think of some things to say, and you were just a little bit of. I want to be actress. So as far as when you said it was truly humiliating, maybe if you wiped your eye and kind of like sniffled or something, kind of more effect, more oomph.
That's a good idea.
And then also I'd like to see some red kind of pretend blood or
Oh, no.
like what or something like make it like look like it's gray then so it's spit or something on your bib.
I actually had that idea, and my wife told me, that's over the top.
Some drama's crazy.
Thank you, Christina.
You could have put a red candy in your mouth, so when you wiped, something would come off on the That was a great idea. Pick it up a little bit more so it looks like a gentle towel.
You should have somebody
Because
give you a
they're
kiss
usually way up.
before that.
Put some lipstick on you.
There you go.
Fantastic. Dennis.
Okay, so let's take a step back for just a second and appreciate everything that you did well in this, because I think that we're kind of glossing over what excellent pacing you had.
Oh yeah.
This is a very well-written speech. It's very, you've written this out completely, have you not?
Oh,
Yeah, oh yeah. It's just really well word-crafted. And I just appreciate so much you taking that time and working on this speech and bringing to us here today. So as Christina said, finding something to talk about, of course I will. It's difficult.
I would have been disappointed.
No, I like the groaners as well. I think they really do add to it, but I would suggest for your delivery that you go past them, let the audience catch up, and then pause, rather than, and boy, did they feel shafted. Am I right? Huh? You know, and prompting us for the laugh, because you let them catch up with you and interrupt you as you continue. You'll see this on The Daily Show. I think Jon Stewart does that a lot.
So would you have them have the say the line shaft it and then pause, or do you really want him to prompt the laughter?
No, I was like, boy, did they feel shafted. And and you start to go on like you just passed.
You don't give a pause. You don't give.
This is the same reason that in table topics, I hate it when there's a word of the day, and the word of the day is exuberant. I was feeling really exuberant, and you're waiting for people to go ding, yay, or whatever, and applaud for it, rather than saying, I was feeling exuberant, I just got up on the... And let people catch it and catch up with you instead of waiting for them. That's all there is. Oh, when you're in the dentist chair and you wanted to do the line about the smoke, you said, I'm always blowing smoke. I think it'd be great to say, I'm public life, I'm always blowing smoke. Which he understood. Yeah. Which he understood to mean,
Right.
well, yeah, okay. And that's it. Yeah, I think it's terrific.
There's even a smell sometimes associated with that smoke, yeah.
Burning flash.
And we all know that smell.
Burning flesh is what I heard everywhere.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to express I truly appreciated the writing in this. I love the alliterisms. It's just wonderful to hear. It's great to read alliterisms, but when you actually hear them, there's a rhythm and a rhyme that, well, maybe not a rhyme, but a rhythm that goes along with your speaking and your writing that just comes across very comfortably to the ear. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Last call. Once again, for our favorite mammal, Don Johnston.